The shuttle's engines hummed as it cut through the violet clouds of Zerath 9, a planet so harsh that even seasoned spacefarers felt a shiver of unease. Its winds howled like ancient beasts, tearing at the rocky cliffs that jutted across the barren landscape. Commander Elias Kane stared out the viewport, eyes narrowing. Years of training had prepared him for strange worlds, but Zerath 9 carried a weight he could not ignore. This was a world ruled by the Zalthari, a species that dominated with steel, intelligence, and fear. And at the center of it all was the Zalthari Queen, a living legend clad in armor that shimmered like liquid metal. Beside him, engineer Lyra Vance adjusted her gloves, the excitement in her eyes betraying the nerves she tried to hide. She had studied alien technologies for years, but nothing compared to the thought of seeing the Queen's armor up close. That armor was said to be nearly indestructible, forged in a way no human mind could fully comprehend. Even a single touch was considered an act of disrespect, or worse. The shuttle landed with a grinding roar, its magnetic pads locking it onto a smooth plateau of black stone. The wind tore at the hull, but the human crew held steady. The doors hissed open, revealing the blinding sun of Zerath 9 and a battalion of Zalthari warriors, their elongated limbs encased in dark alloys, eyes glowing faintly with cold intelligence. They stood in perfect formation, silent and intimidating. Kane stepped forward first, his uniform crisp, hands visible to show he carried no weapons. Behind him, Lyra and the rest of the crew followed, keeping a careful distance. The ground beneath their feet trembled as the Queen descended the ramp of her palace. She was enormous, taller than any human, her armor gleaming with a strange, almost liquid shimmer. The sight of her alone would have been enough to strike fear into anyone, yet Lyra felt a spark of curiosity that overcame the anxiety. The Queen's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Who dares step onto Zerath 9 uninvited?" "We come in peace." The warriors stiffened, ready to act. Lyra froze. Her mind raced, trying to calculate her options. Step back and risk the Queen interpreting it as fear, speak and risk offending her further. But before she could hesitate, something inside her moved, a mixture of courage, honesty, and instinct. She stepped forward. "I did," she said, her voice clear and respectful. She bowed slightly, hands held loosely at her sides. "It was not meant as disrespect. I was studying your armor, your craftsmanship. I meant no harm." Then unexpectedly the Queen stepped closer, her armored boots sending small tremors across the ground. "You are brave, little human," she said, her voice quieter now, thoughtful. "Most would flee, most would lie, yet you speak the truth. Curiosity and honesty, interesting traits." Lyra straightened, heart pounding, as she realized she had not been killed. Instead, the Queen's attention seemed to linger, not with anger, but with intrigue. "You wish to study us," the Queen continued, "but knowledge does not come freely. On Zerath 9, it must be earned. You will face trials designed to test your strength, your mind, and your spirit. Only then will you know what you are truly capable of. Only then may you stand as equals, or you will leave as ashes." The Queen turned, sweeping her armored hand across the plateau. "Prepare yourselves. The first trial begins at sunrise." "Do you think we can do it?" she asked Kane softly, voice barely audible over the wind. "We don't have a choice," Kane replied. "We follow the Queen's rules, prove ourselves, or we leave or die. But if there's one thing humans are good at, it's finding a way where there seems to be none. Stay sharp. Observe everything. Curiosity might save us more than weapons ever could." The next morning, the humans were escorted to the arena where the first trial would take place. It was a massive structure, suspended above a chasm that fell into clouds of electric storms. The floor shifted unpredictably, platforms rising and falling as though alive. Guardians, mechanical and precise, awaited them. The humans could see that raw strength alone would not win here. Lyra glanced at Kane, who gave her a small nod. "We adapt," he whispered. "We survive." Together, they triggered a chain reaction that toppled the machine without harming it unnecessarily. The Queen watched from her throne, silent, her eyes never leaving the humans. Each successful move, each clever maneuver seemed to pique her interest more. For every stumble the humans made, they adapted quickly, their mistakes becoming lessons in real time. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, the first trial was over. Humans had survived where many Zalthari subjects would have failed. But they were exhausted, sweat and grime covering their uniforms. Lyra's fingers ached from constant adjustments, and Kane's muscles screamed from holding positions no human body was meant to endure. Yet despite the exhaustion, there was a spark in the eyes of every human there. They had faced something terrifying, something designed to crush them, and they had endured. The queen rose slowly, her armor catching the dying sunlight, turning it into a molten river of color. She approached the humans, and for the first time, Lyra saw her smile, not warm, not kind, but approving. "You have survived the first trial," the queen said. "Your species is fragile yet clever. You are not what I expected. Curiosity brought you here. Bravery has kept you alive. But the path is far from over. Only those who understand the true essence of strength and intellect will earn a place beside me. Only those who respect the unknown will thrive." "We will do our best," she said. The queen's eyes lingered on her for a moment longer. Then she turned and swept back toward the palace, her armored silhouette merging with the shadows. The humans watched her go, feeling the weight of what they had just encountered. They were visitors in a world ruled by might and mystery, yet for the first time they understood something essential. They had already begun to earn the queen's respect. That night, as they huddled in their small camp, Lyra studied the horizon. The palace loomed like a fortress of secrets. Somewhere within its walls, the next trial awaited. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. It was terrifying, yes, but it was also exhilarating. Humans had no armor as strong as the Zalthari, no natural power to rival theirs, yet they had something equally potent, the ability to think, to adapt, to act with courage where others might freeze. Cain placed a hand on her shoulder. "Rest. Tomorrow it begins again, but remember this, you touched more than the queen's armor today. You touched her curiosity, and that is something no machine, no warrior, no power can take away." Humans were fragile, yes, but fragile did not mean weak. And somewhere deep within her, she understood one truth that might very well carry them through all the trials ahead. Sometimes the greatest strength lies not in power or size, but in the courage to step forward when everyone else is frozen with fear. The morning sun rose over Zerath 9, burning through violet clouds and casting jagged shadows across the plateau. The air buzzed with tension as Commander Cain and his team prepared for the next trial. The humans had survived the initial test, but nothing could have prepared them for what the Zalthari queen had planned next. This trial was not merely about survival. It was about proving human worth in a way the aliens had never seen. The humans were led to a massive arena, a structure unlike anything they had encountered. It was suspended high above a churning storm, its platforms shifting and rotating unpredictably. Guardians, tall mechanical constructs with sharp, jointed limbs, stood scattered across the arena. Cain surveyed the environment carefully. This was no ordinary fight. The arena itself was a weapon designed to test intelligence, agility, and teamwork. Lyra studied the layout with sharp eyes, noticing the patterns in the platform's movements. "They follow a sequence," she said. "If we time it right, we can move safely. They're fast and precise. One mistake and they'll strike." It moved faster than any human could hope to react to, its claws slicing through the air. Lyra ducked instinctively, rolling to the side as Cain shouted, "Focus on their joints, weak points." Lyra spotted a narrow ledge that ran beneath one guardian's path and signaled Cain. He understood immediately and positioned himself to trigger a mechanism that caused the guardian to stumble. It fell with a heavy clang, unbroken but temporarily disabled. The team cheered quietly, careful not to draw the attention of the queen's guards. The humans continued, using timing, observation, and cooperation to navigate the arena. The trial intensified as more guardians activated. Cain realized brute force was useless. Survival depended on ingenuity and quick thinking. He directed the team to use their environment creatively, swinging from cables, jumping across moving platforms, and using their tools to temporarily disable the machines. Lyra's knowledge of alien technology became crucial. She noticed the Guardians' movements followed a rhythmic pattern, almost like a dance. "Watch the sequence," she whispered. "They're predictable if you pay attention." For the first time, she leaned forward slightly, her massive armored frame catching the sunlight like molten metal. "You are clever," she said, her voice carrying across the arena. "You survive where many would fall, but survival is not enough. Strength without mind is meaningless. Mind without courage is empty. Let us see if your intellect matches your bravery." Platforms shifted and rearranged themselves, revealing complex holographic puzzles. Lights flashed, colors shifted, and symbols appeared in intricate sequences. The Queen's test of intellect had begun. Lyra stepped forward immediately, examining the holographic display. "We need to find the pattern," she said. "The sequence repeats every 7 flashes. but only if we consider both color and position. Despite the pressure, humans excelled. Their ability to think differently, to question and analyze, allowed them to progress where sheer strength alone would have failed. The queen watched silently, fascinated. Her species valued order, obedience, and raw power. Yet these humans approached the puzzle from multiple angles, combining logic with intuition. Their solution was not elegant by Zalthari standards, but it worked, and that was enough. Once the puzzle was solved, the arena shifted again. This time it became a simulation of Zerath 9 deadly storms. Howling winds, lightning, and jagged terrain made movement nearly impossible. The final test had begun, a trial of adaptability. Kane barked orders as the team pressed forward. Stay close. Watch for debris. Use the shields only when necessary. A sudden flash of lightning illuminated a chasm ahead. Kane saw one of the platforms shifting dangerously, threatening to collapse under weight. Move together, don't panic, he shouted. The humans formed a chain, supporting one another as they crossed. Lyra's quick thinking allowed them to rig a makeshift bridge from debris, stabilizing their path. They moved steadily, each small success boosting morale. The queen observed, her expression unreadable. Yet her curiosity had turned into something akin to respect. Humans were fragile, yes, but they possessed something her soldiers rarely saw, resilience paired with creativity. Finally, after hours that felt like days, the humans reached the edge of the storm simulation. Exhausted but alive, they stood together, looking back at the arena. They had survived trials that combined strength, intellect, and adaptability, trials designed to crush the best of Zalthari warriors. The queen descended to meet them, her armored footsteps shaking the ground. She stopped in front of Lyra, studying her closely. "You have exceeded my expectations," she said. "Your species is fragile in body, but extraordinary in mind and spirit. I have seen courage, ingenuity, and teamwork today. These qualities make you remarkable. We only hope to understand your people and learn from your world." Zerath 9 does not yield its secrets lightly, nor does it forgive mistakes easily. For the first time, she considered the possibility that humans might not only survive, but influence her empire in ways she had never imagined. Their strength was not in their bodies, but in their courage, creativity, and unwavering determination. The humans spent the night near the arena, tending to their injuries and recalibrating their equipment. Despite the exhaustion, there was a quiet sense of accomplishment. They had faced danger, solved puzzles, and endured a storm that would have destroyed many others. They had done so not with sheer strength, but with ingenuity, teamwork, and determination. Lyra stared at the horizon, the storm clouds reflecting the colors of the setting sun. She thought of the queen's words and realized that survival was only the first step. To truly earn respect on Zerath 9, they would need to continue proving that humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or armor, but the mind and the heart working together. Kane approached her quietly. "Tomorrow, we face the next trial," he said. "But tonight, remember what we've achieved. We've shown them that humans can think, adapt, and endure. That alone is remarkable. It's about showing them what humans are capable of: curiosity, courage, and determination. That is how we earn respect. That is how we thrive." Yet the story was far from over. The dangers of Zerath 9 were many, and not all the Zalthari were pleased with the humans' success. Somewhere in the shadows of the palace, eyes watched, calculating and cold. Not every alien shared the queen's curiosity or her willingness to consider humans as worthy. Some saw them as threats, others as tools. The seeds of conflict were already taking root. But for now, the humans had proven one undeniable truth. Fragile though they might appear, humans possessed a combination of mind, courage, and heart that made them more formidable than anyone had expected. On a planet ruled by power, strength, and fear, humans had shown that the mind and spirit could triumph where strength alone would fail. And that was only the beginning. The morning on Zerath 9 brought a tense silence across the plateau. After surviving the Queen's first trials, the humans were exhausted but elated. They had proven their courage, intelligence, and adaptability, and even the Queen had shown a rare flicker of approval. Yet not everyone in the Zalthari palace was pleased. Deep within the high towers, hidden from the Queen's gaze, a group of high-ranking generals and advisors gathered. Their eyes glinted with suspicion and anger. Among them was General Zathar, a towering figure whose armor was etched with symbols of conquest. He paced in agitation. "Have you seen the humans?" he hissed. "They dare to survive our trials. They walk where no other outsider would. This is unacceptable. If the Queen continues to favor them, she weakens our empire." They would strike during the next trial, framing the humans for disrespect or sabotage, creating chaos that would justify their execution. The Queen would be forced to act against them, and the generals would restore order and consolidate their own power. It was perfect, if it worked. Meanwhile, the humans were unaware of the brewing conspiracy. They spent the day preparing for the next challenge, tending to minor injuries and recalibrating equipment. Lyra studied the palace architecture and the patterns of the Zalthari patrols, her mind sharp despite fatigue. "I have a bad feeling about this trial," she said to Kane. "It feels different, like it's designed not just to test us but to trap us." "Stay alert, trust your instincts. Humans have survived every challenge so far because we think differently, we adapt. If there's a trap, we'll see it before it's too late." The humans followed, cautious but steady. They knew that each interaction with the Queen could alter their fate. The Queen greeted them formally. "You have survived the trials of strength, intellect, and adaptability," she said. "Now you face the ultimate test, your loyalty, your judgment, and your ability to act under pressure. You will navigate the palace labyrinth, a series of chambers designed to challenge all who enter. Only those who demonstrate honor, courage, and quick thinking will succeed. Be ready for anything." As they progressed, Lyra noticed subtle signs that something was amiss. Guards were moving oddly, pausing just long enough to watch them, then vanishing. Some doors seemed tampered with, as if designed to mislead. Lyra's instincts told her the labyrinth itself had been modified since the Queen last used it. "Kane," she whispered, "someone has changed the maze. I think they're trying to trap us, or make it look like we're breaking the rules." Hidden platforms threatened to collapse, and mechanical guardians appeared at unexpected corners. Yet every time, the humans relied on teamwork, observation, and quick thinking to overcome obstacles. At one point, a hidden mechanism triggered a trap door beneath Lyra's feet. She fell, but Kane and another crew member grabbed her, pulling her to safety. The Queen observed silently from the shadows, her expression unreadable. "She is capable," the Queen said quietly to herself. "Yet something is changing in the palace, something I must see." Using hidden passages, they positioned themselves near the labyrinth's core, ready to stage an accident that would blame the humans for sabotage. The humans, unaware, continued their careful navigation, unknowingly stepping closer to the trap. Lyra noticed another oddity. A symbol on the wall repeated irregularly, different from the rest of the labyrinth. "This isn't random," she said. "It's a warning, or a sign pointing to something." They crouched, watching as shadows shifted inside. Suddenly, a weapon discharged, a blinding flash and a loud clang. The humans instinctively dove for cover. Lyra realized immediately what was happening. "It's a setup, they're framing us. We need to show her we're not the threat." The Queen, sensing the signal, descended rapidly with her armored guard. Her eyes widened as she saw the humans dodging traps and mechanical assaults. She realized immediately that this was not a test but a conspiracy against them. With a single roar, she leapt into action, her armored frame moving faster than anyone expected. She intercepted the hidden assassins, her strikes precise, non-lethal yet devastating, disarming them and exposing their betrayal. The humans stood in awe as the Queen confronted General Zathar directly. Her voice echoed, cold and commanding. "You would betray my guests to satisfy your ambition. You would endanger my empire to prove yourself. We only wish to survive your trials honestly. We were never your enemies. We only wish to learn and survive, not cause harm." They had survived a conspiracy designed to destroy them, not through sheer strength, but by relying on observation, teamwork, and courage. They realized that being human, with all its limitations, also brought unique advantages. After the confrontation, the Queen ordered the conspirators to be restrained and brought before her for judgment. The humans were given a moment to rest and recover. Lyra examined the labyrinth carefully, noting the traps and mechanisms. She realized that the Zalthari conspiracy had almost succeeded, and that they had narrowly avoided disaster. "We came here to learn," she said quietly to Kane. "And instead, we uncovered a conspiracy. I never expected that." That's the thing about humanity. We survive not because the world is fair, but because we notice, adapt, and act. That's what makes us different, what makes us strong in ways others cannot always see. You have survived the labyrinth and uncovered treachery that could have destroyed you. That is no small feat. "Little human," she said softly, "you stepped forward when others would have hidden. You showed that curiosity and honesty are weapons just as sharp as claws and steel." They had faced not only the Queen's trials but the secret machinations of her own people and survived. Lyra studied the stars through a high window. "It's strange," she said. "We came to learn from the Queen and survive her trials, but in doing so we've also learned about the dangers of ambition, of power, of people who act out of fear and jealousy. That's what makes humans strong, Lyra. We can face challenges and threats not just from the world but from those around us. We survive by thinking, by observing, and by acting with courage. That is something no one can take away." The Queen's judgment would be swift, and the humans had earned a place of trust, however small. They had survived not because of armor, weapons, or physical strength, but because they used their minds and hearts together, proving that humanity could endure and thrive even in a world built to crush outsiders. And as the night deepened, Lyra understood something vital. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders alike. Humans were fragile, yes, but fragile did not mean weak. Curiosity, courage, and clever thinking could overcome even the deadliest of trials. And in that truth lay the hope that humans could not only survive but shine among the stars, changing the course of worlds far stronger than themselves. The morning sun on Zerath 9 was a pale, violet glow, painting the jagged cliffs in streaks of silver. The humans woke cautiously, aware that the labyrinth and the conspiracy they had narrowly escaped were only the beginning. Yet for the first time there was a sense of hope. The Queen had seen their courage and honesty, and the conspirators had been exposed. Trust, fragile and new, began to form between species. Lyra Vance stretched, feeling the ache of fatigue in her limbs. "I can't believe we survived yesterday," she said softly. "Not just the labyrinth, but the ambush. It's hard to imagine anyone else could have done what we did." The heavy doors of their chamber opened, and the Queen herself entered, her armored footsteps echoing. Her presence was commanding, yet this time there was no threat in her posture. She regarded the humans with curiosity, almost as if she were measuring their worth on some deeper level. "You have proven yourselves," the Queen said, "not only in survival but in judgment. The treachery of Zathar and his allies would have destroyed many species. You acted with clarity, intelligence, and courage. These qualities are rare, even among my own kind. Your honesty is notable. Few outsiders would have done what you did. Many would have fled or lied. That is why I now offer a chance for a greater purpose. You will aid me in restoring trust and order within my empire. In return, you will gain knowledge, access, and perhaps an alliance that few humans have ever known." A human alliance with a ruling alien monarch. The implications were immense. "We accept," Kane said carefully. "We will act with integrity and caution. Our goal is understanding, not conquest. The path is dangerous, but your previous actions have proven you capable." Their first stop was the Chamber of Records. Here, the Queen's loyal archivists kept logs of all political and military movements. Lyra examined the data carefully, noting discrepancies, missing records, and altered entries that matched the conspirators' plan. "They were thorough," she whispered. "They tried to erase their tracks completely. Ambition can be dangerous. Many in my empire value power above all else. You humans see beyond brute force. That is why I trust you. Use your skills to uncover the truth fully." Every new discovery revealed the depth of the conspiracy, showing how far Zathar and his allies had gone to manipulate the Queen and frame the humans. Yet the humans remained calm, their ability to think logically and adapt to new information proving invaluable. After hours of investigation, the Queen convened a council with her remaining loyal generals. The conspirators had been captured, but their followers still lingered within the palace. The humans, especially Lyra, were tasked with presenting the evidence in a way that the Zalthari could understand and accept. "This is delicate," Kane said. "We need to show the proof clearly but avoid angering those who might still be loyal to the conspirators. Humans solve problems with clarity and reasoning. That will work here too." She spoke clearly and confidently, explaining patterns that revealed the conspiracy. The room fell silent. Zalthari were accustomed to power struggles, but the precision and honesty of the humans' presentation stunned them. Murmurs spread among the council members. The Queen remained silent, watching closely, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. Finally, one general spoke. This is undeniable. The humans have revealed the truth with clarity unmatched even by our best strategists. Humans may be physically weaker, but their insight, courage, and determination have preserved the empire today." "You have done more than survive," she said. You have preserved order, prevented chaos, and demonstrated qualities my empire must recognize. You are not merely outsiders. You are allies, advisors, and observers of value beyond measure. Thank you, Your Majesty. We are honored. We only hope to continue learning and assisting as we can. That will be your final trial in this chapter. Everywhere they went, their courage, honesty, and clever thinking left a mark. Lyra noticed small changes. Palace staff began to ask her advice, soldiers sought guidance on problem-solving, and even the Queen's advisors respected her judgment. It was an alien culture, rigid and steeped in tradition, yet humans had found a way to make an impact without challenging authority, simply by thinking differently, acting honestly, and showing courage. One evening, as the sun set in streaks of violet and gold, Lyra and Cain stood on a balcony overlooking the palace grounds. "I never imagined humans could have this much influence," Lyra said softly. "We're just visitors, and yet we've changed how things work here." And a little terrifying. Her empire was secure, but she was more intrigued than ever by these strange beings from another world. Humans were fragile in body, yet their minds were sharp, their hearts brave, and their courage unwavering. In the history of her empire, few outsiders had achieved what they had, survived trials, uncovered treachery, and helped restore order. The Queen considered the implications. Perhaps it was time for a new era, one where humans were not just visitors but partners and allies, respected for qualities that could not be measured in armor or weaponry alone. Lyra spent the night preparing for the final part of this chapter, a demonstration to the wider palace and loyal citizens of Zerath 9, showing that humans were capable of earning trust, solving problems, and leading with wisdom. It was a challenge of perception, a final test of influence. The next day, the Queen convened a grand assembly. Humans stood before hundreds of Zalthari, their hearts steady. Lyra presented a carefully planned demonstration of coordination and problem-solving, guiding small teams of soldiers through simulations and exercises. She explained strategies clearly, showing that humans could act with foresight, intelligence, and courage. The Zalthari watched, fascinated. Even those who had doubted the humans began to see their value. They were physically weaker, yes, but their minds, their hearts, and their ability to act under pressure were undeniable. The Queen rose and addressed the assembly. "These humans have proven themselves in ways that matter most. They survived my trials, uncovered deception, and helped restore order. Their courage, intelligence, and honesty are now part of our story. Let this be a reminder. Strength is not only in the body, but in the mind and heart." Humans had shown that even on a world ruled by strength and fear, courage, honesty, and intelligence could prevail, creating a bridge between species that had once seemed impossible. As night fell over Zerath 9, the Queen stood on a balcony, gazing at the humans below. "They have touched more than my empire," she whispered to herself. "They have touched the heart of my people." The plateau glimmered with frost and sunlight, and the palace towers reflected the violet hues of the sky. Humans moved quietly through the palace, preparing for the culmination of their efforts. The previous trials had tested their courage, intelligence, and adaptability, and their guidance had helped expose conspirators and restore trust. Now it was time for the final challenge, proving humanity's worth to the wider empire and securing a lasting place in Zalthari society. Lyra Vance adjusted her gloves and checked the signaling device. Her fingers were still stiff from the previous day's trials, but her mind was sharp. Commander Cain approached, his expression calm yet determined. "This is it," he said softly. "Our goal isn't just to survive anymore. It's to show the Zalthari that humans are worthy of trust, respect, and partnership. Humans can't dominate with strength here, but we can lead with clarity and integrity. If you succeed, your place among my people will be secure." At the center, a series of complex mechanisms awaited, simulations, puzzles, and coordination exercises designed to test leadership, insight, and moral judgment. Lyra stepped forward first. "We can do this," she whispered to Cain. "All we need to do is show them who humans truly are. Observe, think, act, and lead with courage. That is humanity's strength." She demonstrated adaptability, noticing patterns and adjusting plans as challenges evolved. The Zalthari watched in awe. Humans did not act with raw power, they acted with intelligence and insight. Every move was calculated, every decision measured. Even those who had doubted them began to murmur in approval. Next came a puzzle involving multiple control panels that required cooperation between humans and Zalthari soldiers. Each panel controlled a portion of the arena, and only by coordinating actions could the group succeed. Lyra and Kane communicated with the teams, using gestures and simple words to bridge language differences. Slowly but surely, the mechanisms aligned and the challenge was completed. The hall erupted in quiet amazement. The humans had demonstrated leadership, collaboration, and innovation. They had shown that success did not depend on brute strength, but on the ability to think, observe, and guide others under pressure. The Queen's gaze lingered on Lyra. "You have inspired more than the humans in this room," she said. "You have inspired my people. That is rare. Few outsiders achieve such influence and fewer still with honesty and courage. Humanity survives and thrives by working as a team, by thinking and acting with integrity." After so many trials, so many dangers, they had succeeded. But Kane reminded them that this was only the beginning. Trust was precious and fragile, especially across species. They had to continue to act with honesty and insight to maintain the respect they had earned. Later that day, the Queen led the humans to the palace balcony overlooking the sprawling plateau below. Hundreds of Zalthari citizens, soldiers, and scholars had gathered, curious about the humans who had become central to palace affairs. The Queen addressed the assembly. "These humans have faced trials designed to test strength, intelligence, and courage. They have survived where others would have failed. They have uncovered deceit, guided my people, and demonstrated qualities that are rare even among my own kind. Let their actions be a lesson. True strength lies not in power alone, but in intelligence, courage, and integrity." The humans had done what no outsider had ever done. They had won the trust and recognition of an entire empire. Lyra stepped forward and spoke directly to the assembly. Her voice was steady and clear. "We are humans, fragile in body but resilient in mind and spirit. We survive not because we are the strongest, but because we observe, adapt, and act with courage. We make mistakes, we learn from them, and we work together to overcome challenges. That is what we offer, and that is why we are here, to learn, to share, and to build trust." Soldiers, scholars, and citizens alike began to understand that the human strength lay in qualities that could inspire and guide others, not in sheer physical might. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, painting the sky in streaks of violet and gold, the Queen turned to the humans. "You have done more than survive trials or overcome conspiracies. You have shown my empire that courage, intelligence, and honesty are worth more than power alone. I name you as trusted allies, advisors, and representatives of humanity within my realm. Your journey does not end here. It begins anew, as partners in a galaxy full of challenges and wonders." They had faced storms, labyrinths, treachery, and trials that tested every part of them, and now their efforts had been recognized. Humans were small, fragile, and physically weak, but their minds and hearts had proven more formidable than any armor or weapon. Commander Kane stepped beside her. "This is the result of courage, insight, and teamwork," he said quietly. "Not just survival, but influence. Humans can thrive anywhere when they act with integrity and intelligence. Just by being ourselves." She knew that alliances forged in respect and understanding were far stronger than those based on fear or power. In the following days, the humans worked closely with the Queen and her advisors. They trained soldiers in creative problem-solving, helped scholars develop strategies for exploration and communication, and mediated disputes with fairness and clarity. Everywhere they went, humans left a mark, not with force but with insight and courage. Lyra often found herself walking through the palace corridors at dusk, marveling at how far they had come. From the moment she had accidentally touched the Queen's armor to surviving trials, uncovering conspiracies, and inspiring an entire empire, it had been an extraordinary journey. Yet she knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's influence was growing, and the galaxy held countless challenges yet unseen. One evening, Kane and Lyra stood at the edge of the palace, looking out over the plateau and the distant mountains of Zerath 9. The wind was sharp but refreshing, carrying the scent of alien flora and ozone from distant storms. "We did it," Lyra said softly. "We've earned their trust. We've proven humans can survive and even thrive in a world designed to crush outsiders. And that is something no armor, no weapon, no force can take away. That is humanity's greatest strength." And as night fell over Zerath 9, stars shimmering like distant fires across the violet sky, Lyra and Kane understood a truth that would guide them for the rest of their journey. Humanity's power did not lie in might alone, but in the mind, heart, and courage to act when the world demanded it. Humans had arrived as outsiders, fragile and unknown. They had faced storms, conspiracies, and trials designed to crush them. Yet through ingenuity, courage, and integrity, they had survived, inspired, and earned a place among one of the galaxy's most feared empires. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, but the humans had proven that even the most fragile species could rise, adapt, and thrive. They had stepped forward when others would have frozen, and in doing so, they had left a mark that would endure far beyond Zerath 9. And somewhere, deep within the palace, the queen smiled quietly. She had seen strength in a new way, realized that courage, intelligence, and integrity could rival any weapon, and recognized that humans, small and fragile as they were, had earned a place among the stars.